Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk a little bit about Pam Bondi, the second nominee for Attorney General, and with no spectacular impediments, apparently, on the road between her and confirmation, the likely next Attorney General of the United States. Now, you can argue she profits from going after Gates, who flamed out spectacularly. He, I think, was the third shortest cabinet designee ever. And she could just sort of step around that fire and look better in contrast. But there's some stuff that any vigilant Senate will want to look at. And the Senate's kind of interesting to date, right? Enough Republican members of the Senate, remember they've got 53, so you need 4 defectors to defeat a nomination. But enough Republican members of the Senate have kind of flexed their muscles and said, we're not going to roll over. That mattered, especially for Gaetz. What that really translated into, the point I was basically pushing from the start, is not letting him have a pass on a background investigation, which is really would have, I think, uncovered all kinds of difficulties and made him sit for an FBI interview as well. And so that, I think, Gaetz, even as he possibly makes it easier to confirm people who would, if they were nominated in the first place, be eyebrow raising, I think stands as a pretty strong pushback on the flyers that Trump was trying to take for doing recess appointments and skipping background nominations. And that's going to come up now with Hespeth, with others who have, potential concerns. But Bondi. So Bondi's concerns, we don't know of any in the background, but on the surface, I think she makes it, but it ain't good. The whole model that Trump has been screaming for since 2016, that he wants his real personal lawyer and sort of enforcer, his Roy Cohn type, Cohn being the ferocious lawyer who defended Joseph McCarthy. That's like the opposite of what you really want in an attorney general, and that is the opposite, is such a well-established norm in the wake of Watergate, and he just is looking to bulldoze it completely, and it causes all kinds of problems besides looking like a fundamental, abridgment of the whole principle of the DOJ: you prosecute without fear or favor. Because it's one thing to have been supportive of the president, of your party, but Bondi has been supportive of Trump, including in his departures from the law, shall we say. And, she hasn't been, she's, I think, a careful politician. That's how she got to be Attorney General in Florida. And she hasn't been a full-fledged member of Team Crazy with Trump. But on the other hand, she sure hasn't been a full-fledged member of Team Normal. And she is, in that sense, really a far cry from even such strongly conservative figures as Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr, the attorneys general in Trump's first term. So just I've talked very briefly about this last week, but I want to play out some more of these. They'll be surfaced, all of them, at the nomination hearings. We can expect her to have a background investigation nomination hearings, but she'll be well presented and well prepared. And the Republicans have a solid advantage, and you'll hear them say things like, well, the president deserves his choice for attorney general. But, check it out. 2016, at a rally for Trump, where they're saying, lock her up, of Hillary Clinton, who's done no crime. She says, lock her up. I like that. You know, it ain't good. Just, think of Merrick Garland saying it as to Donald Trump in 2020. You don't want an attorney general to like the notion of locking up. You want an attorney general to like the notion of prosecuting without fear or favor and bringing cases in the court that deserve to be brought. Okay, what else? So at 2020, she's like in the car pretty much right away with no less a figure of election denial and everything that is crazy in Trump land, the kind of five-star general of Team Crazy, Rudy Giuliani, going into Pennsylvania and making a series of statements that are just complete hogwash, and she has no basis for it. And here, the fact that she's more experienced, I think, makes it a deeper strike against her. Doesn't know how to practice law. He wouldn't probably be able to find his way to a courtroom. She's been the attorney general of one of the bigger states in the union. And to say shit in public like that she knows is shit, it's just not the willingness of a lawyer to do that. Really speaks ill of someone who is being put forward to be the chief law enforcement officer of the country. She does that. She solicits a $25,000 campaign donation from Trump personally, and then the investigation of the Trump University for-profit college that he winds up paying $25 million for, she takes a pass on in Florida. And that's kind of icky. You could say, well, maybe there was no merit to the case, or that whole area, but she undertook cases against another for-profit college. And obviously there was merit to this one. And, even if there hadn't been, an attorney general calling up and making a solicitation of a political candidate, that's just bad. Again, it's just she's really willing to do things. Think of the Merrick Garland test. We can't because he wouldn't be running for political office. But, that's just not the kind of probity you look for from an attorney general. And finally, the latest revelation. 2020, Cassidy Hutchinson first, was called to testify. Everybody knows that she's got the goods on Trump and on Mark Meadows. And there's a campaign, I think a wholly illegal one. I think you could make a case out of this. There's so much going on, bigger fish to fry that you don't. But people call her up and basically try to tell her how much Trump loves her and get her lawyers and offer her work. Webb Hubbell, that's way back when in the Clinton administration, but had something like that happen to him, and Republicans went berserk. So Cassidy Hutchinson, who's remember the first sort of break in the dam to tell the truth, having had a Trump-appointed lawyer who basically seems, from what she said, to have really pushed her to give a slanted story in favor of Trump. She's getting calls from Trump World saying, we'll take care of you, in essence. We'll give you a job. And you don't have to be too express about the quo part of that quid. We're going to take care of you, and you're going to not hurt Donald Trump. That's pretty clear in that, implicit overture. Now, again, could you make a criminal prosecution beyond a reasonable doubt for obstruction? That'd be a tough case, but you'd certainly open that case and look into it and really question Cassidy Hutchinson carefully. And if she would speak through her lawyer, you would really push on Pam Bondi. You might or might not bring the case at the end of the day. But again, we're talking about the Attorney General of the United States and a federal investigation. And to show that kind of cavalier attitude toward federal law enforcement as to potentially screw around like that with Cassidy Hutchinson. It's actually, in some sense, you could say cavalier to federal law enforcement. You could actually put a worse spin on it, which is she knows federal law enforcement. She knows not to mess around with them, but the loyalty principle to Donald Trump is stronger, and it leads her to push on things that she really ought to know you shouldn't do. And now again, by and large, she plays it pretty safe, and she's not into her neck, but she's into her waist and doing some things that, let me put it this way, if it weren't for the Republican advantage in the Senate, she would, I think, not stand a chance. And why? Because it would just be clear, and I think it is clear, she's all in on this loyalty principle, pretty damn close. She has, attached her carriage to Donald Trump, and that she's, taking it to an attorney general appointment, and so try to project what that means for her as attorney general. You might think or hope she's been the chief law enforcement of a big state that does a lot of things other than political prosecutions. She should know to leave those alone. Maybe she will. But the subset of the most important cases in the department, because they're the test of whether there's an independence from the president, you got to be pretty nervous about how she will handle those. And I would be willing to bet, for starters, that this very radical theory that Trump is going to want to propound, that basically he can do whatever he wants, call whomever he likes in the Department of Justice, she will likely be all in on. It's a sort of arch theory of the so-called unitary executive, and I think she'll be down with that, no issue. So, this is a nominee that, if you worry about the norms of the Department of Justice, if you understand the importance of the separation from the White House in terms of its contribution to the rule of law and what's been a real success story in the Department of Justice for 100 years, then you got to be at best really nervous at the prospect of Pam Bondi. That might lead you to really, really put hope in the Deputy Attorney General nominee, who's another Trump, former defense lawyer. Oh, that's the thing. That's one more thing about Pam Bondi. She represented him in the 2016 impeachment. Lawyers entitled to good representation. You shouldn't castigate a lawyer for those jobs, but it really brings home what sort of precept number one she would bring into the Attorney General's office. Anyway, you as I was saying, you go back to, you really got to hope the Deputy Attorney General, who was trained in the Department of Justice at the Southern District of New York, will be a stand-up person who thinks about the department. But again, they're all really handpicked, and Trump will be there. And Trump, who feels he was disserved by his not adequately loyal DOJ the first time around, I think won't hesitate to reach out from the White House and fire people, as he, is one of its favorite things to do as an employer. So, yay, Matt Gaetz should go nowhere near the Department of Justice except as a defendant. But Pam Bondi, it's like a quarter sigh of relief. It's great that she's not Matt Gaetz, and she has some professional sort of credentials, but seems to have strong credentials of saluting Donald Trump and doing as he likes. You don't want to see that in an attorney general, and I think it's coming at us like a freight train. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.